BeastNet Podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Lisa from BeastNet Podcast, and today I'm talking with Erika Bogan again, and we're going to talk about the Phoenix race OCR that we did back in April. Yeah, it was April. We're almost a month out. Wow, that's crazy to me.
Crazy.
In Meridian, Mississippi, and then I know you have some major news to talk about as well regarding Mount tomorrow. So let's start with the Phoenix race. That was a crazy weekend, like crazy weekend. First off, just being in the Southeast for me for the first time ever, being with you, which, oh my God, that was amazing. But 5 states, what, in 24 hours? Yeah, pretty much in 24 hours.
Yeah.
5 states back and forth. So that was an experience.
In a Jeep.
Yes, and in Joey's Jeep, which there's not a lot of room in that Jeep.
Nope.
But that was awesome.
That's how we roll in this family, though. We don't like a lot of space. We like to all be together.
All be together, nice and cozy. That was an awesome road trip. I think I spent half my time looking out the window versus really talking to anybody because I was just amazed at everything going on. And well,
we got you in
fan.
Country.
Yes, you did. But the race was like, I have to say that was one of the most humbling races I've ever been a part of. And it wasn't necessarily the race itself. It was with more heart than scars. Like to see firsthand the amount of teamwork that is required, the amount of communication and
trust.
Yes, trust is another word to put there with so many people on so many levels. I really didn't do a whole lot during the race. I pretty much just sat back and observed.
That is not true.
Other than when I was on wheel with you.
You're my side girl. Yeah,
I was your side girl, and that was challenging and again humbling as well. But even just as we got to obstacles, just sitting back and watching the way everybody communicated with everybody and helping you get over them, and Chloe, and just it was amazing.
Helping each other. I mean, it's funny because everybody always thinks that like me or Chloe, like the adaptive athlete, is like the one that everybody's tending to, but that's not true. Everybody, we all need each other.
Yes.
More often than not, there's able-bodied people that are on our team that also need that extra boost from a partner, from a teammate, to be able to get over a wall.
Yes.
It's no man left behind. We start together and we finish together no matter what.
Yes. And that was so true, just to see that and watch that. And, everybody, whether you're a wheeler or a walker, I've learned those terms very well now. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their reasons for doing it and their accomplishments and their trials and their obstacles. It's absolutely incredible to me. I was so emotionally and mentally filled from that it was unbelievable. Physically, I was tired and exhausted, but 3 hours time difference and
5 states in one day.
5 states in one day, and then 7-mile race on top of it. Nothing.
Yes. I think that was to say, like, that race was brutal. It was brutal, but it was also one of the most beautiful venues out of any of the Phoenix races that I've ever raced. And, I support Phoenix as much as I do Spartan. He does a lot for us adaptive athletes, and Jason Phi, and just making sure that it's all inclusive and going above and beyond to make sure that our team is able to come and complete these races. But when they said 5K, I wasn't expecting 7 miles. And so that was the brutal part of it.
Yes.
Those trails were no joke. And
No.
I think the trails were even more so challenging and caused us to like really, really kick up our endurance, more so even than the obstacles. You know, it was pretty crazy terrain. But again, such a beautiful venue.
It was gorgeous. I had a hard time paying attention to where my feet were going. In fact, I may have tripped myself once or twice because I wasn't paying attention to where my feet were going. I was like lollygagging, looking around at everything, and it was gorgeous. The lake, it was so beautiful.
Oh, had it just been just a little bit warmer, so like maybe a month later, like the month of May, I would have gotten in on, there was that one water obstacle with the cargo net that you go across. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. And there was that wall that you could go into as well. But I'm like, I'm with you too. I was like, nope.
Yeah, it was still just a little bit. I mean, it was beautiful weather. Couldn't have been a more beautiful day as far as the weather was concerned. But it just wasn't yet warm enough for the southern girl to get in the water.
It wasn't. It wasn't warm enough for the northern girl to get in the water. I don't know what you're talking about. See the people get in the water. I was like, oh, you brave souls. Cause no.
Yep. Yeah. And like my biggest thing as an adaptive athlete, and specifically having a spinal cord injury, is that my body doesn't regulate temperature. And I know we've talked about that after Carolina Beast 2019. That was a shit show on so many levels.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I DNF. That's still to date the only course I've never been able to complete. And it was definitely the weather that worked against me, but more so the weather causing my body temperature to drop and just not being able to get it back up. And so even in the warmer weather venues, like what we just did with Phoenix and Meridian, the day was beautiful. And if I wasn't doing a race, would I have got in and tried to swim? Absolutely. If I would have known I would have been able to get dry and warm right away. But in the midst of an OCR, that's the last thing I want, is to get into water, just like, oh my God, because it's so gorgeous. And then not be able to get warm and regulate my body temperature. So
yes, exactly. And for me, it was just a nope. That was just a nope. I was being a chicken on that one. There was a nope, and I was noping out of that. But I really, I noped out a lot of the obstacles, and it wasn't for me. I realized when we got there and got going, that race wasn't about the obstacles for me. It was about just witnessing more heart than scars. I don't even know how other way to put it, but witnessing that. And everybody just fucking amazes me. Like, sorry, Dawn, I'm swearing.
Sorry, Dawn.
But it absolutely fucking amazes me the amount of selflessness that is a part of that team, and the open arms and love for complete strangers. Like, you guys took in me, Dawn, and MJ. Like, the three people from the Northwest you'd never met before. Well, not in person met before, but you guys like took us in, and it was just amazing to be a part of the team, to see how it all worked. And you guys are incredible, like absolutely incredible. And the personalities of everybody were phenomenal and hilarious. Just like,
we're a crazy crew, but it's crazy awesome.
Yes, it is. And Julie and Jason, yeah, they put on it was a good race. Like,
it really was
good race. And I don't know, I love the swag. Like, this is the most comfortable hoodie I have right now, and I'm still living in it. Yeah, it was great. Like, I went home, and my new car is now tagged with a Phoenix, a Beast, and a More Heart Than Scars sticker. I'm like, oh, yep, slap, slap, slap.
Yep, you're in the tribe now. Once you're in forever. You're a lifer.
Oh, I ain't going nowhere.
We want to keep you.
Yeah, and I think I have a pretty good feeling I'll be back that direction in the next year.
I can't wait.
So yeah, I was amazed by it. And you and Chloe, just like, I was lucky enough to be your guys' roommate, and the two of you are so, I love you guys. I love you guys so much. It was a great time. Your personalities, your sense of humor, Chloe's one-off little remarks every once in a while. I was just like, what? I like you.
Chloe was actually the first. I mean, we already had developed a relationship before we did a race together, but we really, really bonded. Her first race with me, which was in 2019 December in Central Florida, Spartan, and I was working on my beast that weekend, but I had already held myself accountable that I was also going to do the sprint the next day, because it meant the world to me to be able to not only have just another adaptive athlete on course with me, but somebody that I love as wholeheartedly as I love our Chloe. It's funny because in our community, in the wheeler community, or the community of people who are differently abled, we have these unspoken bonds. And it's funny because we bond and get to know each other and become very close quickly. And it is because of that commonality, that camaraderie of like, I know that she understands my life. And even though her disability is different than mine, she has Friedreich's ataxia. And still is able to use her legs and ambulate some with Kevin. She's got a
With Kevin, I love it. Kevin's so awesome.
Kevin is amazing. And I even though we don't have the same disability, I still know like we just relate to each other on so many levels, and even more so than just being two women. We get each other, we get each other's struggles, we get our challenges, and we're both always encouraging each other. And it's funny because she's always telling me like how much she looks up to me, and I look up to her just as much, because again, our challenges are different.
Yeah.
And there are stuff that she has to deal with that I don't necessarily know that I would be able to. And then I think vice versa, and to be able to be on course together for the first time, to be on course with an adaptive athlete that I love as much as I love my Chloe Dean. It was amazing. So I was so very excited when Joey told me that she was going to come do the Phoenix race with us in Meridian. Like that was definitely icing on the cake, having her with me. And one of the things though that people don't realize is when and you saw this firsthand, and with both of us, even though we have two totally different ability levels, we both chose to be in the chairs that one, because Chloe's getting weaker as her disability progresses, and it's getting harder for her to walk. And thank God we did. We imagine being a 5K OCR, because 5K OCRs are never actually just 5K, but it turned into a 7-mile race. And this is what you witnessed firsthand, is that it appears to some people who don't know any different that we're just getting pulled through a race. They're not realizing that the times that we're not pushing our chair is actually to save our shoulders and the rest of our energy to be able to conquer the obstacles, because doing both is extremely taxing. But also, I'd like to mention, people don't realize the strength and the concentration that it takes mentally to be able to keep ourselves in the chair when the terrain is as insane as that course was. We literally can't push ourselves because we're having to hold ourselves in that chair. And make sure that we're not falling out. I mean, we have people on the sides of us and in front and behind us, but at the same time, we still have to keep our bodies, balanced. And I think it's just as mentally taxing as it is physically. We joke around that at the end of the race, on the ride home or in the hotel, whichever it is, depending on what race it is, we still can feel like we're in the chair, like we're like on a bumpy road while we're trying to fall asleep. So it's like similar to what some people experience when they go and swim in the ocean, and then they get out of the ocean, and at night they still feel like they're in the water. It's the same thing for us being in the chairs. I mean, it is physically and mentally taxing just to be in the chair itself. So we're not even pushing the chair or the obstacles.
Now, I saw that because I was behind you a lot of the time, like behind you and Joey, and there were a couple times where the terrain got really freaking tricky. Like you could see the chairs going this way, and you're trying to you're counterbalancing. You're counterbalancing the whole time. And Yeah, it is going to take
Or
a lot
the
of
front gets caught on something and nobody can see it. I see it first, and I use my body to pop the chair up.
Yep, I saw that too.
There's a lot of things that unless you're actually out there on course with us, that you don't realize that we're doing. And so it's not as sweet and I guess heroic to think of every other team members that like they're pulling us and helping, they're taking us through a race. Like, no, we're working the whole
you
time.
guys really are.
You know? Yeah. I actually had somebody say something to me not that long ago, and this just kind of shows the lack of knowledge and I guess just educational opportunities. There's lots of them out there for us, where somebody said, and it was in another podcast, you know, well, you're not really doing much, like you're getting pulled through the race. And I'm like, oh, no. No, my grasshopper, that's what it appears to be. Yes. If you're not with us and you don't see, you know, we're just going past the festival area. Like a lot of times that's like our break. We're like, okay, we can let go for a minute and like, let them pull us. And, you know, but it is a challenge. Again, yeah, physically and mentally.
Well, yeah, it really is. And, you know, I think that's where maybe if that's how you feel that it is, you need to step back and step up as a volunteer and just go see what it takes physically and mentally for you guys, let alone every other.
Oh my gosh, my teammates who are picking us humans up. Yes. And helping us over 7 to 8 foot walls, or, you know, Joey, the beast that he is. I mean, he throws me on his back like a sack of potatoes and we go, you know, and I think like, what is this doing to his body? You know, he's carrying a human, and not only that, I'm an adult human.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, it was interesting. Like, you know, you think of Spartan races or any obstacle course race, you know, and you got the ones where you got the ropes and you got to go down a hill, and never like it didn't click with me. I'm like, holy shit,
how are they going to do this?
They have to go through that too. And then watching that happen, like, wow. Like,
yeah, those steep cliffs and drop offs. I mean, I get now we do with more heart than scars. So it depends on the athlete. Yeah. Obviously they let the athlete have their voice. And so with me, I'm a little edgy and I'm not afraid to fall or get hurt, nor would it hurt me anymore. I mean, I guess I could get paralyzed more, but I don't know. Anyway, but I you know, I don't always have a harness on, and I think it needs to be said that's my individual choice. If the organization, so specifically Zach, who is the co-founder of More Heart Than Scars, the nonprofit, if I wasn't a 40-year-old adult who likes to speak my mind and say what I want, he would make sure, I mean, I would be totally harnessed, but because I am an adult, and Joey and I have done this so many times now, independently, that we've learned each other over the course of the last 3 years. We've learned each other. He knows how I move. I know how he moves. And we both have confidence in ourselves and our own abilities. Yeah. That for me, so it's a really big thing for me as an adaptive athlete to do as much as I possibly can physically by myself. With that being said, obviously, sometimes I don't do as much as I physically could do for sake of time, because we're already usually further behind than most people that start at the same time as us. So we don't want to be out on course for 16, 17 hours if it's just a 5K or a 10K. I mean, that's just crazy for everybody. So sometimes I do it out of convenience, but for the most part, to save time a lot of times, and because I am so vocal and want to do it as much as possible, we learned inadvertently how to do things. So a lot of people, I hear everybody kind of get silent when it's a steep cliff drop off and I'm just kind of hanging on his back, and people are like wanting to hold me, and we're like, don't touch us. Like, we've got it. Like, you can be there to spot just in case, but we've got it, you know, is huge. And it's one of the things that I love so much about Joey and I's relationship, and the huge amount of trust that I put in him. Because with my PTSD, and we've talked about my PTSD before on past podcasts, you know, with my PTSD, that was one of the biggest things is learning to trust other people with my body. and with, by saying with my body, like, carrying me and not dropping me, or pulling me out of the chair, or, I have to know that I can trust that person to not only listen to me and what I'm saying, because I know myself and the chair better than anybody else. The chair kind of is a part of me. It's how I move. And so it's second nature to me.
Yeah.
But trusting somebody enough to say, no, I do not want that body harness on. No, I do not want a rope attached to me. I want to challenge myself. And it takes a lot of strength to hold on to him, just as much strength as it takes for him to hold on to me. Yeah. And I just truly appreciate those moments, because I think those are the moments that people see that are like, wow, okay, we get it.
I got my hand on your butt. Yeah. Oh my God.
We got you. Just hold on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cheat on you. There you go.
How you doing? Are you nervous?
Perfect.
You guys doing right?
Almost there. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, but I'm going to just bear crawl down.
Yep. Belly flop it down.
Awesome.
Do you like the BeastNet? Do you want to keep hearing it? Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more at BeastNetPod.
It was watching that, but it was also like how you guys worked as a team to get your chairs from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, and all the intricacy that goes into that to make sure that they don't get damaged as they come down as well. Like, it was amazing. And it was just like
it's a lot.
Yeah. I think that's where I spent most of my time contemplating the race afterwards, was all the intricate workings of the team and how it all comes together, and how
and just the
everybody
preparation.
Yeah.
The hours upon hours that Joey and Zach, when he's with us, but predominantly if it's not in North Carolina, usually Zach's not with us, and it's, Joey and I just kind of go, and whoever else from the team joins us. But people don't realize the amount of work that they put into planning this and making sure that they have everything you can think of that we as adaptive athletes may or may not need on that course. Yeah. And so, it's one of the things that I'm truly, truly grateful for. Like, Joey's the man.
Yes, he is.
He remembers everything. I mean, like, to a point that I've gotten kind of spoiled, where people will reach out to me and ask me about like details and logistics about a race. And I'm like, don't ask me, because Joey takes care of all of that for me. And as much as I feel sometimes I take it for granted, I think that it needs to be said how much it means. Because the mental preparation, again, because of my PTSD of just getting to the race, just getting myself out of the house and into the car to get there, and fighting that level of anxiety. If I had 50 other things to worry about logistically, I probably wouldn't go. I would back out.
Yeah, I could see that.
I appreciate that so much, so there's a lot that goes into this, and it's so much more than just them helping the athletes in wheelchairs through a course. It takes time and lots of love and dedication and selflessness to make this happen for us.
That's like the key word right there with your team, with your team, with More Heart Than Scars.
Selflessness.
Is that selflessness. It's the putting others before yourself is the number one thing. And it's absolutely awe-inspiring to see. I love it. I love the team. I love everybody on the team.
Thankful that you and Dawn got to come out, and Melissa, you guys get to come out and do this race with us and join us on the East Coast, and finally be able to really, really see firsthand everything that we're talking about,
Yes.
and be a witness to it. I mean, you guys are some of our biggest supporters.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was so amazing. I loved every minute of it. The whole trip was just like, it was awesome. I had a hard time.
And I have to say, you are the MVP for riding with me while driving, and I gangster rap the entire time.
That's so awesome, though.
I told you I'm not a rocker, I'm a rapper.
That was the some of the best parts though. That and your very explicit thoughts of Atlanta traffic was on point, by the way.
Oh, at least I got to see a little bit of road rage, except for I don't actually do anything. It's just all verbal.
It's just verbal. It's all a big deal.
I hate Atlanta traffic.
I think that, what was it, the last hour, 45 minutes or so of the drive home from Georgia to North Carolina, I tried so hard to stay awake, so hard.
At one point, I looked back in the back seat. I think I might have said something to it, and you didn't say anything back. And I look back, and you are straight up, and you can tell that you're trying to stay awake because your eyes are closed, but you're trying so hard to sit up. It was hilarious. I'm like, she's done. She's done.
So done.
We got back to my house, and I think we both were like, "Yeah, no shower. We're just getting in bed and going to sleep.
We're
we'll shower
tired
tomorrow."
That's exactly what it was. I'm going to bed. Sorry.
We're just gonna go to sleep.
So you guys had some amazing things come through, and we were able to promote while we were there, and still promoting. So you got to give us all the details about your upcoming trip in September.
Yes. So this has actually been planned since 2019, and it was supposed to happen in September of 2020, but COVID hit. And we all know that, our lives were turned upside down and plans were changed for everybody. But I and some people from my team, a lot of the core group of the team, are traveling to Tanzania. Actually, we leave New York City on September 11th. To fly into Tanzania to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest peak in Africa. And it's one of the world's largest mountains. It's actually a volcano. It's 19,374 feet. I think it's a total of 62 to 64 miles to summit. 10 to 15 people die on that mountain every year because of altitude sickness. We will actually be going through 5 different climate zones, starting from the bottom, which is rainforest, all the way to the top, which I believe is called subpolar, where it's ice capped all year round. So when you think about that, this is Africa, right? There's no snow and ice in Africa, but there is in Kilimanjaro. It's that high. It's funny because most people that when I start to talk about this think that my motivation behind wanting to climb one of the world's tallest peaks is because I'm an adaptive athlete and because I'm in a wheelchair. But that's actually the furthest thing from the reason that I'm doing it. My motivation is actually because I really, everybody that has heard me on previous podcasts and that follow me know that I'm a huge mental health advocate. And I'm actually doing this, taking on this mountain with my team's assistance to bring awareness to mental health as well as suicide prevention, but specifically in the spinal cord injury community and the disability community, because as I was going through my own healing journey, I've lost several friends in the disability community to suicide, and it all happened simultaneously, which was a really dark time in my life. But during that time, as I started my healing journey and therapy and being coached, as well as becoming a coach myself, I started researching statistics for the disability community and suicide, as well as mental health. And the statistics are very, very vague and almost non-existent. And that's very, very, very devastating to me, because we matter just as much as every other group of people in the world. Yeah. But because we are such a small population of people, that a lot of times we're overlooked. And so I also, in planning for this trip to Kilimanjaro, like I said, in September of this year, go back to 2020, and an investigative reporter reached out to me. She was writing some articles for Vogue and Forbes magazine, and I think was working on, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a project for that was going to be pitched to ESPN. And so her passion, her name is Allison Norlian, and her partner and also co-founder of her production company, Bird Mind Productions. Their passion is bringing awareness to the underreported communities in our country and the deficits that exist in those. And the disability community is a huge one. And so she reached out to me just to interview me as an adaptive athlete. Actually, it was more so about CrossFit and my competing in CrossFit and training in CrossFit. And as the conversation and the interview went on, at the very end of it, I just kind of, Allison says, I nonchalantly was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm climbing Mount Kilimanjaro next year with my team. And she was like, wait, what? What did you just say? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to Africa, we're climbing a mountain. And she's like, shut the front door. And she's like, I'm really interested in learning more about this. And so, I give her some more information, and she's like, do you mind if I call you back? Like, I want to talk to my partner, my production partner, and give you a call back because I see an even bigger story here. And like, absolutely. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not doing it because I'm an adaptive athlete. It has nothing to do with my wheelchair. I'm doing it because my passion and my platform and everything that I do comes back to mental health, wellness, and suicide prevention, because that is one of the biggest things that is important to me is preventing the loss of life. Because of lack of mental health wellness, and it's what caused me to start my career. So anyway, a couple of days later, she calls me back on a call with her business partner, and we are now and have been since February, and I'm so unbelievably excited that I can like publicly talk about it now. We have been filming for a documentary. So it'll be a full feature-length documentary called Meandering Scars. It is being written, directed, produced all by Birdmind, by Allison Norlian and Cody Leibowitz, which is her business partner. And both of them have been in media for many, many years and are very accomplished. And this will be their first feature-length film ever, documentary. And so I'm super, super excited about that, to be a part of this with them, and to be the first real big feature-length documentary. But I'm even more so excited that if this film could save one person and get them out of the dark space and help them find beauty in it somehow, some way, then all of this craziness that's going into this climb is going to be so worth it. So we currently actually have a Seed and Spark fundraiser that's going on. That is all of the money, all of the proceeds, none of it goes to More Heart Than Scars, the nonprofit. It all goes to the production, and to help us make this film successful, help everybody that is a part of the film crew be able to get their money back in their pockets they have literally paid out of their own pockets to take this trip with me and climb this mountain. And so, our hope is that this will be picked up by some big streaming services like Netflix or Hulu, National Geographic, Discovery. It'll definitely be in front of all of those big names and streaming services. We're hoping that this turns to be successful, but we need everybody's help to get this production done. And so I'll actually share with you the link after all of this, if you guys would like to attach it to.
If we'd like to attach it, come on, Erika.
So this is again this documentary is I am the focus of it, but the more than anything, we want this to be empowering and a film that's going to create change and going to create action, and for people to see the disparity and how we are a very small community, and I guess some people look at us already compromised, so like whatever, but not realizing that we are vivacious and productive members of this society, just like everybody else. We just move differently. We do things differently. but we're bringing so much light and encouragement and motivation to so many other people who may be fully able-bodied, but say are telling themselves they can't. And they can't go on anymore. And I just think that, again, it's not even what I think, it's my hope, is that this impacts somebody.
At least one person.
Hopefully thousands.
Oh, it totally will. 100%. Like, you mentioned just nonchalantly, that is totally you. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm just doing this. Like, excuse me, wait, what? Did you just drop that you're climbing a mountain? Like, no big deal. Like, I can totally see how you drop that. But no, that's absolutely incredible.
Because for me, it's not like I'm not doing this. When they first, approached me about doing a documentary, I never wanted this to be fully about me, because my story is just one out of millions, and every single person on my team have their own scars. They're just not as visible as mine. And a lot of times I feel like mine get more of a spotlight because there's a visible aspect to it. And it's funny because I still stand very strong in that, although I am the focus of this documentary. My hope is that it's so much larger than just my story. Mine is just one from somebody who's willing to be vulnerable enough to show those scars and to hope to make a positive impact by being vulnerable. So yeah.
I can totally see that. It's one of those things, like what you said, like the mental health side of it, especially for adaptive athletes and anybody who is having an adaptive lifestyle due to physical limitations, even mental limitations. Like, that is something that is still, it's crazy to me that even still to this day, with everything that's gone on in the last few years, mental health and all of that is still like a
like taboo.
Yeah, it's taboo to talk about, but I'm like, well, but wait.
Well, a lot of that, a lot of the reason for it is because there is such a negative stigma attached to it. On top of the people that are usually dealing with it and living with it or trying to live with it, typically have guilt and shame attached to it. And that's one of the things that I'm really, really trying to change. And I'm only one out of thousands of mental health warriors, trying to make change and bring awareness and open up that conversation and say, hey, I'm going to share this with you. And this is why. And I hope that you can also see that your struggles could one day be somebody else's survival guide. Had it not been for people being transparent and authentic and vulnerable with me, I may have never gotten the courage to be transparent about my battles with mental health. I hid it behind a mask for many, many years, behind crazy titles like Miss Wheelchair America and fancy wheelchairs and being on billboards and in magazines and like making it look as if I was living this amazing life and had like this celebrity status. And that wasn't true. I was living two lives. Because when I was home, I was dealing with that darkness, and
the masks
struggling. Yeah, I was struggling.
Everybody, I think, who struggles from a mental health disorder has a mask that they put onto the world, and they have that mask is taken off when they're at home. And sometimes it's not even fully taken off at home. It's when they're alone in their own space, their own thoughts, where that mask comes completely off. And it's been in the last year, like, I have to say, working with you as my coach, I've been able to come to terms more and more with my own struggle with my PTSD and everything that goes around that. And I feel like I'm starting to find my voice when it comes to that. And more and more
and not be ashamed of it.
Yes. And that's kind of how I felt like I was ashamed. Well, there's something wrong with me. Well, no, there's not something wrong with me. There's damage that I'm trying to
Repair
and sort through. And some of it,
So it's funny because especially with PTSD, whether it's combat PTSD, complex PTSD, which is what we have.
yeah,
It's not something that ever necessarily is healed or goes away.
No.
You learn to live with it.
yes,
You learn to change your response and not allow it to control your life.
exactly.
But that is the hardest part, is learning not to allow it to control your life.
Exactly. I have to agree with you on that. And I've become more and more aware, partly because of you and the stuff that
Thank
like
you.
the stuff Joey posts about mental health. Just like I see the statistics that he puts up, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
wow. And I have to say, like, for myself, I have attempted twice for suicide. And that's even hard for me to like come out and say, because it's like that dark, like, oh, like it's like a dark secret.
Because you don't want anybody to like think that you're crazy or psycho or any other
Yeah.
derogatory term that's been used for
Been
people
used-
with mental illness.
Exactly. And it's also, I see people say, well, think about the people you leave behind. That's exactly why I thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people who do go through with it, that is a pain that is so deep that you can't, like, there's
They're
not even
tired.
there's not even a pin drop in the ocean that can describe how deep that pain is. And to them, they're lessening the pain for others, even though it doesn't feel like that. And
That's how they're rationalizing it.
that's how they're rationalizing
They're taking
it.
the burden off of the people that they love, not realizing that the pain transfers to the people that are left here that do love them.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's like, people, I think it's going to take small waves and even big ones, like with the documentary that you guys are filming, to start really shedding a light on that, not just for the everyday person, but for the adaptive athlete, for the combat veteran, for everybody to really see, like, mental health, it's not a stigma. It's not something that it's just like, oh, wow, there's something wrong. No, we are going through daily struggles, and they're not visible. They're not always visible. And those are the hardest battles to fight. And we need to start stepping up and being more aware and present, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So how many of you are going? Do you guys know for sure right now? Like, for the team, like, how many do you?
I believe it's 8 people that are actually helping me up the mountain. But then with the film crew, I believe they have another 6 to 8. Because the film crew, we've got drone operators and videographers and photographers and sound. I mean, it's a full production.
Awesome. That is awesome.
So, but the core team that's helping me, I believe we have 8. And all of them are literally they're my angels, because without them I wouldn't be able to do this. And because this isn't it's funny, it's not a more heart than scars thing, but yet my team is who everybody that's coming with me is on More Heart Than Scars. And so it was also very, very important to me for with the documentary that some of that story was shared, because More Heart Than Scars is such a huge, huge part of my life. My teammates, they're my safe people. They're my family, my chosen family. And so although the filmmakers' vision was not for it to be about the 501c3, the organization, it is a huge part of my story and will be talked about. And I don't want to get too far into it and let any secrets out, but some of that story will also be shared, because awesome. That is the epitome of what More Heart Than Scars stands for, is all of us being able to live boldly past our scars, whether visible or invisible, and transcend together.
That's
So
awesome. I have to say, I wear my bracelet
whoop,
every
whoop.
day, every day. Um, you know, I think this is absolutely amazing. I am so excited and absolutely thrilled that I can share the fundraiser that you guys are doing, just share the journey of this with you, um, as your friend and as a
Yeah.
teammate and an outside person, because it's absolutely incredible. You are standing up for something that needs to be spoken up about so desperately, and you're doing it in such a phenomenal way. Like,
Thank you. I love
you're
you.
I love you too. Don't you
Thank
start crying on me.
I won't. I won't. I'm so tired. I'm emotional.
But no, that's absolutely amazing. And to be there when you guys when you got the trailer, the clip for the fundraising,
Yes.
and just
Yes.
to see the excitement and joy on your face and Joey's face, and just how quickly like it got shared and
Yeah.
how quickly people were willing to support it. I was just like,
We're already like more than 20% of our goal. And I think we still have like 20 something days for it to, I mean, so it's just, it's phenomenal, the support that we have already gotten. And so to anybody who's listening to this and the OCR community, if you have already selflessly contributed to help us make this documentary a success, like from the bottom of my heart, with every fiber of my being, like so grateful. And I can definitely speak on behalf of everybody else that's a part of this production, including Birdmind and my teammates at More Heart Than Stars. And we were all so grateful for all of your support and making something that is, again, like I want this to be bigger than me. Yes, it's about my life, about my story, and about my journey to take on this mountain. But it's so much bigger than that.
yes, I can totally agree. And again, like all the links are going to be up in the bio for this podcast. And
I thank you so much. And just so
of
everybody
course,
knows, when you click on the link for the documentary, the first thing that you're going to see is that trailer that Lisa's talking about. So you'll be able to see a sneak peek of the video and the vision behind it.
Yes, and it's awesome. Like it's
Thank you.
amazing. And of course, you know, for everybody listening too, the links are on. I think BeastNet shared it half a dozen times.
Yeah,
I personally shared it.
It's
Dawn
all
has,
over
I think,
yeah,
it's all over your
all of my
pages.
social
Like,
media.
so it's everywhere to find it, and it doesn't take much support, and like help this. Like,
$1, $5
to fruition.
Anything helps. Anything helps.
Exactly. And I also want to say too to Jules and Phi regarding like Phoenix race. Oh my God. If you have a chance and you're in the South, the North, like anywhere on the other side of the country other than the West Coast, get to those races and check them out. Not only one, the merch is amazing. I think their medal is like one of my top 5 favorite medals now.
Katie's in heat, so she needs extra love right now.
Oh, poor Nala. But the medal is absolutely gorgeous. Like, that's like
I have mine hanging on my wall. Actually, I am putting mine in the mail this week. One of the things that I forgot to talk about, and you were able to witness, we had this sweetest little angel. Her name is Gemma, and I want to say she has a very rare form of muscular dystrophy. And her parents, she's a little girl, and her parents brought her out to the venue the morning before our race, and just specifically to meet me. And because of being a formal title holder for Miss Wheelchair America, and you know, we told Gemma, I told Gemma before I started the race, when I met her, that I was doing the race for her, and that medal was for her. And so she reached out to her mom, and going to be putting that in the mail this week, along with a Phoenix shirt for Gemma. And just, you know, it meant so much to me that they brought her out to specifically meet me. But more than anything, it meant the world. She's one of my biggest whys is other people, specifically children that are born with disabilities, to be able to give them that encouragement and be that role model to show them that they can absolutely live active lives and conquer their dreams and reach their goals. It's just going to look differently, and that's all right.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. That watching that take place was like, again, humbling and awe-inspiring, just like the outpouring of love from everybody who was there. And watching you and Joey interact with her was just like,
she's a beautiful light in this world.
Like, I'm trying not to cry right now because it was amazing to see. But yeah, get out to Phoenix Race, check them out. They're awesome and, not canceled.
Yes,
like
not canceled.
That's Jules' thing, not canceled. And
that was actually the only races that I was able to do last year was Julie's races. So like, I'm still so unbelievably grateful for that. One of the many reasons I will always support Julie, always.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one race I've been able to meet to this year. Not sure if we're going to get any more because,
you are.
True. I'm on lockdown West Coast right now. So,
All right. It's all good. I'm going to have you over here on the East Coast sooner than later. I'm working on it.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I know things that others don't right now, but it's going to happen. Yep, you will. Maybe a little bit farther north, but I'll be on the East Coast. But Erika, thank you for coming on and for sharing your story and what's going on with meandering scars and bird mind. Like, this is so phenomenal to watch come to fruition, and I can't wait to see the final.
Thank you so much for having me again. I love you, but I love all of you guys. I love my BeastNet family, and
I love you guys too.
It's always such an honor, for you guys to interview us and be able to share more and more with the OCR community about what we do and think differently, think outside of the box.
Yes,
it's not always about us.
No, it's not. No. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great night.